Okay, in the last part of the classes, that is on the Wednesday part of the class, let me recap what we have done. That is related to acid rain, loss of biodiversity, deforestation, acid rain, desertification, eutrophication, and global warming that we have stated. And meanwhile, some of you people have also discussed the concepts related to environmental impact that is mainly caused by economy, especially on the production, as well as the society on the other hand for the consumption purpose. So, what are those environmental impacts? Altogether, we have listed out. There is the freshwater scarcity, climatic change, exposure to the toxic in the food, air, water, and soil, emerging diseases, food insecurity, and then energy scarcity due to the depletion of the resources, ecosystem damage, and habitat loss due to the pollutant discharges. Till there, we have got to know. Now, again, we have also discussed related to what are the different climatic risks, especially as per the World Meteorological Organization. WMO mainly stands for World Meteorological Organization. They have given related to extreme events either due to the rainfall or maybe due to the famine or flood. So these are categorized as a extreme events. Now, intergenerational equity and intragenerational equity. So these are the one of the major terminology. So what is meant by intergeneral equity means expects the presentation generation to the hand over a safe as well as a healthy as well as a resourceful environment. So that is the one major thing. So intragenerational means the technology development it should also support the economic growth. So for that purpose itself only, and that too for the poor session to reduce the gap between the other nations and all. So intra as well as intergenerational equity has to be presented. Now, in addition to this, we also have the concepts to be studied, especially social, environmental, and economical sustainability concepts. Let us get to know what is meant by social sustainability. The term here, the social sustainability, mainly depends upon the community as a whole. That is, the society as a whole, how we need to maintain the harmony or the sustainability. So, in order to have the balance between whatever the natural resources is present and whatever the society it is consuming it based upon the equivalent or what we call it as an equilibrium condition, we need to go for the social sustainability. So first part is mainly maintain residence quality of the life. In order to maintain the residence quality of the life, the quality of the life means what? Standard of living. For example, if you can able to see the rural standard of living, semi-urban standard of living, as well as the urban or maybe the city standard of the living, it tends to differ in terms of what? In terms of an utilization of the resources, okay, or maybe in terms of an employment. For example, if you take Nanjangud, Mysore, or maybe even the Bangalore as a whole, the employment rate will tend to vary because Bangalore, you can able to see the population. That is the one thing, and many people they are jumping towards the Bangalore region. Why? What is the reason? Because it is also known as an IT hub, and majority of the people are employed there. Their income will also be high. When the income is also high, obviously you can able to see the cost of the living is also high. And when you're going to compare with respect to Mysore or maybe Nanjangud region, the cost is drastically decreased. So that is where the quality of the life, in the sense, we need to see that housing. Residency means it is a housing. For housing, what are the things that you need to require? Especially, you require to maintain the house or maybe any other thing in the family, you require a home as a shelter. Next, you require a money in the form of an income. Income you need to get means that you need to rely upon any of the jobs or maybe the employment. And if you need to get employed means then you need to have the education. See, one in turn other, it is interrelated, and thereby if you need to see that the prolonged life or the quality means your health should also be good, and You need to lead in a legal part of the life. So what is the legal part? There is a whatever the fundamental duties or the rights that is given to you. Okay, thereby each locality they have to define a plan or a quality of the life, what it wants and what it believes to achieve. So not only for the present, even for the future generation. So that is what we call it as maintain residence quality of the life. Next, second one is enhance local economic vitality. See, if you take society as a whole, to enhance the economic vitality means it should also include the job opportunities. ಸಿ ರೆಸಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ಗೆನೆ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋಂಥದ್ದೇನು, ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೆಟಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ, ಬಹುಶಃ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಅಂದರೆ, ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಸಸ್ಟೈನ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಟು ಸಸ್ಟೈನ್ ಅವರ್ ಓನ್ ಲೈಫ್, ದ ಮನಿ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಮೇಜರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಕಾಂಚನಂ ಕಾರ್ಯಸಿದ್ಧಿ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಂತ. ಅದೇ ತರ ರೀತಿನಲ್ಲೇ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ರೈಟ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಗುಡ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. So next thing it is local economic vitality means whatever the resources that you are utilizing it, it will be always taxable in nature. For example, ಬೆಳಗಿಂದ ನೀವು ಸಂಜೆ ತನಕ ನೀವು ತಗೊಳ್ತಿರೋಂಥದ್ದು ಏನು, you depend upon the water, you depend upon the electricity, you also depend upon the food also, and rental vises, or maybe if it is a own house also, any other maintenance that is required, or an apartment and all. Everything what happens here, the sufficient tax base or maybe the revenue is also collected from the goods and services, that we call it as local economic vitality. Coming on to the third point, promote social and intergenerational equity. Earlier, I have said the social and generational equity means it is mainly related to ethnicity, because tribal people should also be given the equal opportunities. They should not be defamed or maybe kept as a separate part of the people, like outraging them or putting them only in the outskirts, not entering into the city. And even the age also, it should be an equity related to the age, and even the cultural background ಅಂತ ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣನೇ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈಗ ಬುಡಕಟ್ಟು ಜನಾಂಗದವರು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. That means they have certain culture that they have developed over their ancestor period of the time itself only, that we are not seeing now. So that is a one important major thing. We call it as a cultural background. For example, ನಾವು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ, ಮಂಗಳೂರು ಪ್ರಾಂತ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋಂಥ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ದ ಕೋಸ್ಟಲ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ವೈಟ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್. Or maybe if you're going to take the culture related to the northern part of the Karnataka is only slightly different. Or it may be related to their food habitations, or maybe related to any of the cultural background and all. It is quite different. Similarly, if you compare the South India as well as the North India, you can see the medieval part of the South India here to be pronounced in a more manner. Whereas if you're going to take in the case of the North India, that you cannot see much more medieval part of the things in that. So that is what we clearly state, that the social as well as intergenerational equity. That means that ಈಗ ಕಾಶ್ಮೀರದಲ್ಲಿರೋಂಥವ್ರು, ರಾಜಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿರೋಂಥವ್ರು, ಅಥವಾ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸಾಮ್ ಅಥವಾ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬೆಂಗಾಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋಂಥವ್ರು, their language, what we call it as a linguistic, or maybe their religion, or maybe cultural background, or any other characteristics, they have to be given an equal value. That's why our India is always called as the unity in diversity, because India is a land of diverse cultures, that we need to promote the social as well as intergenerational equity. That is a third point. Okay. So next, fourth point, maintain the quality of the environment. What is the quality of the environment? See, sustainable development means you need to protect the environment. That means not completely utilizing any resources, simply keeping as it is environment. It is not possible, highly impossible. Some amount of the natural resources are to be taken from the earth, and meanwhile, it has to be utilized and then safeguarded for the next upcoming generation. In order to maintain the good quality of the environment, means if you are staying in the Bangalore, Mumbai, Chennai, or any metro cities, or maybe the non metro cities and all, the quality of the environment it tends to differ, either in the case of the consumption of the water, ಆರ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎನ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ. ಈಗ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಆಗಿರೋ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಂಥದ್ದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಮ್ಮಿ. If you're going to take in the case of the cities like Mysore or any other things and all, you have industries and all, they require electricity. You have IT companies also, they also require electricity, isn't it? The what I am teaching for you people and which you people are listening to me, we also require some quality. What is that? First thing it is your mobile has to be charged. From the my side, my laptop has to be charged, as well as I need to get the Wi-Fi. So this is what we call it as a quality. So thereby, one major thing here we need to think about is we need to find the ways that coexist with natural environment and ecosystem. That is a major action. So thereby, unnecessary degradation can be avoided, either in terms of when causing the pollution of the air, water, or even the soil also. Thereby, we should always maintain the quality not only for our economic comfort but also even for the naturalistic aspect. So, for that naturalistic aspect also, whatever the natural resources that are available, air, water, soil, or maybe energy and all, that we need to keep it in a good quality conditions. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, if we cannot able to maintain the good quality, thereby the environment will be degraded. That is the fourth point. Next, fifth point, incorporate disaster resilience and mitigation to its decision and actions. That means we need to have a disaster management plan. So maybe in the Tuesday's part of the class, or maybe in the Wednesday's part of the class, I think we have stated that is related to the disasters like hurricane or floods or maybe even the drought or the earthquakes and all. For that also, we need to take the steps in order to ensure that these things shall not tend to happen. Even though it will tend to happen, that has to be reduced. That means ಆ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋಂಥ ಜನಗಳನ್ನ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಇವ್ಯಾಕ್ಯುಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ರೆಡ್ ಅಲಾರಾಮಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಸರ್ಪಾಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ದೇರ್ ಬೈ, if you incorporate the disaster resilience, either the natural disaster or maybe in the case of the man-made disaster, accidentally something happens or maybe intentionally itself only some person might be able to create a havoc or the wreckage to other state or maybe even the countries also, that we need to reduce it. How to reduce it? By taking the suitable actions as well as the event management, that we call it as disaster management plan. ಅದ್ರ ಮುಖೇನ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಆ ಡಿಸಾಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ನ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ use of consensus building participatory process. That means community in the case of the socialistic aspect means identifications of the issues, promotes a wide generation of the ideas that are dealing with the concerns to find a way. And in order to see that, you have to reach to an agreement related to all the community. They should also agree, and they should also provide the solutions upon agreement with respect to the whole community or the whole society. That we call it as a consensus building participatory process when making the decisions, because public will also make a decision. Simply if you want to say that, ಲೆಟ್ ಮಿ ಟೇಕ್ ಎನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್. ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ಟೀಲ್ ಬ್ರಿಡ್ಜನ್ನು ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ದೇವರ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ informations related to the public that we will go for planning to construct the steel bridges. And finally, what happened? There was an opposition of the people in order to see that so many trees will be cut and there will be the damages also, and now only the traffic is more. If you go keep on constructing now also, then it will be worsen the situations, people cannot go in time, so the traffic delay will be much more in a worst conditions. So other examples ಗಳನ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ consensus means, that means you need to get the data. Okay, from that data itself only, what is the problems or the issues you can able to identify. Upon identifying, you need to provide or come up with a solution or take the decision, so that upon not only by one single person, it is a group of the persons. So one single person ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಕಟ್ಬೇಡಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಯಾವುದು ಸ್ಟೀಲ್ ಬ್ರಿಡ್ಜಸ್ನ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇದಾಗಲ್ಲ. Only through the group of the person itself only you can make a decision. Example I can also give it is the Chipko movement, okay, or maybe the Aptico movement also. These are all the decisions that to having the participatory process in order to see that the social sustainability will tend to coexist with the environment. Okay, so moving on to the next one. What are the general indicators related to the socialistic concern? First thing, it is energy and air quality. So new sources of energy are available, but less energy intensity is taking place, and lower emission levels should be there. That is the one thing what they can able to do for having the sustainable social environment. Next, water, materials and waste. Less water intensity, lower material intensity, that is like a packaging and all. That too provided with a recycling system and efficient waste disposal. Moving on to the third one, it is related to land, green spaces and biodiversity. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ ನಾವು ಹೆಂಗ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ in environment you please do consider the five things. One is a land environment, that which we are standing or residing, that we people are sitting, that we call it as totally a land environment. Okay. Next, we have even the water environment, and then from the water we also have above us, that is the air and the sky. Okay, so these are together in all with the together. We also have the thermal environment. Thermal environment under in well not TV, sunlight is a major factor that is taking place and where we are living over a long period of the time. That means it is due to the action of the sunlight only we are able to survive. Next thing here, land, green space, and biodiversity. That too, increased agricultural productivity, and that you need to manage in such a way that excessive of agricultural productivity should not harm or nor it should create over exploitation. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಲಿವಬಿಲಿಟಿ. ಲಿವಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಮೇಜರ್ ಆಗಿ ಸೋಷಿಯಲಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋಂಥದ್ದು ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋಂಥದ್ದು ಏನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್? ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ದು ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗೇ ಇರಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವ ತರ ಇವತ್ತೊಂಥರ ನೋಡ್ತಿದೀವಲ್ಲ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಆ ತರನಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ, ನೋ. ಸಿ ದರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಒನ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್ಸ್. If you're going to take in the case of like an influenza or maybe any of the viral part of the diseases, in order to see that ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಇನ್ಫ್ಲುಯೆನ್ಸಾ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲೇಗ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಊರನ್ನೇ ಖಾಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೊರಟೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಸೇವ್ ದೇರ್ lives. They need to save their families and all. But today, if you're going to see like 100 years back, ಮತ್ತೆ ಈಗನೂ there is an improvement in the health, as well as livability is also dependent upon awareness, that is through the education also. Next thing, it is livability should also create an access or maybe a hub for the information across the globe, as well as ಇವತ್ತು ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರಬಹುದು 100 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗೆ ಟಿವಿ ಯಾವ್ದು ಇರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಥವಾ ಏನು ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ ಇರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಈ ತರ ರೀತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೂ ಆಗ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. So if you're going to take the 1920s to 2020 itself only, there is a vast changes that is occurring for the society, and that condition is livability conditions. Next, coming on to the fifth one, as an indicator, provide collective transit and private mobility. So that is the major thing. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಗೋಂಟ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ದ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟರ್ಸ್, ಮೊದಲೇ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ದ ಗೋಲ್, ಮೆಟ್ರಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಅಸ್ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟರ್. ಈ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಿಲಿಟಿನ ನಾವು ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮೆಷರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಿಲಿಟಿನ ಹೇಗೆ ಮೆಷರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಯಾವ್ದಾರ ಒಂದು ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮುಖೇನ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಿ ಶಲ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್. Now let us get to know the questions related to this. What about the future of humanity? From 2000 we have, will there be any other fortress world, or maybe will there be a balanced growth if you are going to expect eco communalism, that means new sustainability paradigms in terms of an materials, education, as well as even the society. Okay, and then if you have the any other changes, means how the changes will tend to occur. ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು, ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎನ್ US dollars, in terms of in trillion dollars, starting from $50 trillion, 100, 150, 200. in the y-axis. In the x-axis, that is taken with respect to the point scale. Okay, either maybe in terms of an yearly basis itself. Okay, so from the 2000 starting, whether how much portion is getting in transformed into the higher sustainability paradigm or into the conventional world. Conventional world means normally what we are living in. ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಟು ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ತಗೊಂಡ್ವಿ, ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಓದಿದ್ವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನಾವು ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಕವರ್ಡ್ ಅಪ್ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಿಲಿಟಿ. There is a one thing. Next, the two things that are remaining, it is mainly environment as well as economic sustainability concepts. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಿಲಿಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಡೌಟ್ ಇದೆಯಾ ಏನಾದ್ರು, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಡೂ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ನೌ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಡೂ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಫೈ. If you have not understand, I'll be going to explain once again. Anyone, do you have any set of the doubts? Guys, I want the answer from you. Do you have any doubts? Kindly, if you have any doubts, you can able to. Okay, fine. So it's clear. Then I can move on. Okay, kindly mute yourself. Whenever it is required, we shall discuss at the later part. Okay, let me finish off the economic sustainability also. Okay, now let us get to know environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability is what all of you, maybe you might have witnessed in the Wednesdays part of the class, many of you have told. Okay, so related to the protection of the biodiversity, eutrophication, or maybe related to the maintenance of the energy scarcity, ಅವೆಲ್ಲದು ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ ನೋಡಿ. Here, what is that environmental impact? Now, impact has caused, but how to overcome the impact, that is where we can apply the scientific or maybe the basic principles in order to provide the balance, that to where the balance between the nature as well as the degradation process. ಆ ಡಿಗ್ರೇಡೇಷನ್ ಪ್ರೋಸೆಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋಂಥದ್ದು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಡಿಗ್ರೇಡೇಷನ್ ಆಗಂಥದ್ದು ಅದು ಬೇರೆ. ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಇಂಡ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಈಗ ನಮ್ದು ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಕನ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಿರೋಂಥದ್ದು ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಸ್ಯಾಚುರೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. When it is reached beyond the saturation stage, what happens? Then there will be a problem that is created. So for that purpose, we need to provide the sustainability even for the environment. Okay, so what is that environmental sustainability? It requires, first point you can able to see, maintenance of biodiversity. Okay, what is that maintenance of the biodiversity? You can able to see here, maintenance of the biodiversity, that is in terms of in genes. Okay, genes or maybe the species as well as even the ecosystem. What is that gene, species or maybe ecosystem ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು for example now it is a mango season, you can able to see the different varieties of the mangoes. Can you list all those whatever the different varieties of the mangoes that you can able to see in the market? Anyone? Different type of the mangoes ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ವಾ, ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು? You can see the raspberry, malgoba, neelam, or maybe alfonso, that is a costly part of the mangoes and all. Okay, so these are the different varieties, or that is having the same species but there is a changes. Okay, that we call it as. And even if you can able to see the species variations, Now, for example, you can take the butterfly itself only, they are available in the varieties of the species. But the genes will tend to change in a different manner. And similarly, the term ecosystem, it mainly refers to the aggregation of whole land, air, water, soil in which the plants or maybe the animals will tend to live on interdependency. That we call it as an ecosystem. See, the term eco means related to the environment, okay, and here the system means it is in a directed manner, in a principled manner. That we call it as a system, and that we call it as a boundaries also, system boundaries. Next, second point, it is related to protection of natural capital. See, protection of the natural capital means what? Here we can have the different things. Let me quote it here. The natural capital either in terms of an air, so water also. Water is also the one major thing, as well as even the soil also. Now let us take an example in our Karnataka, or let us take in the Mysore itself only. Protection of the natural capital. Here, if you're going to compare Mysore, Bangalore, as well as Delhi, which is in a good condition, any answers from that? If you take the natural capital, where we can able to see that the air quality is not degraded much, whether it is in the case of the Delhi, or maybe in the case of the Bangalore, or in the case of the Mysore. I want answer from you people.
Sure, Mysore,
Okay, what might be the reason?
there is no much pollution.
Okay, fine. There is no much pollution also. Fine. Okay. Next, let us get to know the water also. See, water, production of the natural capital. I would like to say that what is the water that is supplied to the Bangalore? It is from the Kaveri River itself only origin. Yelli ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ where it is from the Toraikad Nadi. There is a water to be supplied because Bangalore is a capital of Karnataka, and how much amount of the water it is utilized. Now economic sustainability in the Tagondaga, for example, there you can able to see that enhance the local economic vitality and residence quality of the life ಅಂತ ಇದೆ, and maintain the quality of the environment ಅಂತ. ಅದಷ್ಟನ್ನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ it is interrelated here, that too for the protection of natural capital. So, water is a major part of the resources. Now we are facing some water scarcity. Mysore, okay, because it is the source is very much near. Thereby, we are less dependent upon, and that too, the scarcity is only less extent. I'm not telling that scarcity is not there in the Mysore. The water scarcity is there. If you're going to take in the case of the Bogadi, or maybe related to the Coimbatore regions earlier and all, or maybe newly developed layout and all, water supply was not there. That to the Kaveri River water supply was not there, supplied by the Vani Vilas Water Works. But now all the people were dependent upon the borewell. Now what they have done, from the company also, they have given some set of the connections related to that, and some of the areas are also related to the utilization of the water supply system. But that water supply, or providing the quality of the water to the society or to the people, they have to be the protected. What kind? In the sense, they have to be protected. When you're supplying the water, it should also be protected. When you're discharging any of the waste either onto the water bodies, that should also be seen that you should not disturb the whole water systems. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ಶ್ರೀರಂಗಪಟ್ಟಣನೇ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ, ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಶೋ ಯು ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದ pictures where the huge amount of the water wherein it is left as a drainage to the Kaveri River, and it is graded as C grade river. Okay, why C grade river? A grade means no treatment is required. Whatever the natural part of the river that is available, you can directly drink the water. B grade river means slightly there is a contamination, but only little much treatment is required. That we call it as a B grade river. If you're going to say that the C grade river means it is highly contaminated either with the total dissolved solids, or maybe due to the discharge of some of the factories effluents or any other things, that water if the same water it is at the downstream upstream ಅಂತ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹಾರಂಗಿ ಮತ್ತೆ KRS reservoir they are all if you're going to take Harangi that is at the upstream if you take the KRS it is at the downstream similarly KRS ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರು ತುಂಬಿಕೊಂಡಿರೋಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ಮೇಲ್ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ that we call it as an upstream ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಹರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬರ್ತಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ that we call it as a downstream that water what happens it will tend to reach the Srirangpatna or any other regions here Melapur is a region near to our MIT college only we have the treatment plant is there that water is only supplied for the whole Mysore city so there what happens the water if it is to be extracted then it has to be treated then only you can able to go for it otherwise it will be very much difficult that is why protection of the natural capital air and water is also a major concern next soil so soil anta ತಗೊಂಡ ತಕ್ಷಣ if you see the JSS road and all OT road Mysore where the deposition of the solid waste is taking place and if you go to see near to a ring road also huge amount of the construction waste they have deposited or even maybe the dustbins or what were sorry dustbin ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದು ತಪ್ಪಾಗತ್ತೆ whatever the solid waste they have deposited it is going to create an health hazards so that in turn which will tend to pollute the soil and treatment of the polluted soil is very much difficult. Similarly, vegetations or trees or any other things, they are also called as a natural heritage or the capital for it. Next thing it is. First point is clear and second point is clear. Third point, maintenance of the energy and material cycles on the planet. That I will go for showing what is the biogeochemical cycles and all, how the energy is transformed you can see in the case of the last part of the environmental studies itself only when you have learned in the fifth semester there the energy it has to be transformed that is from the one form to another form mechanical students will also agree with the conservation of the energies and all because you people will be studying more related to that as well as even the material cycles also have to be taken into the considerations and next, fourth one means health and resilience in all life support system. How that is related to the health and resilience systems to all the life support system means whatever the life support systems that you're going to induce either to the natural means or through the artificial means that has to be provide a good health system. If not means there were some of the videos. Say for examples, if the COVID patient is suffering from the oxygen deficiency. That means you need to provide the oxygen carrying capacity through the artificial means or providing the ventilations or any other thing. So there you need to provide the resilience related to the life support system. That is an artificial manner that I'm telling in order to protect the safeguard the health. Here, health and resilience of all life ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು it is not only related to the human okay kindly take it into the consideration it is mainly related to even to the plants vegetation life below the water life on the land as well as complete vegetation their health is also important example if any of the animals they are suffering from the flu or any other things how to protect them how to provide a good health if any of the mammals or maybe if you want to say the poultry or any other things and all if they are suffering from any of the fever and all those animals and all how to prevent them see these are the major sanitary conditions or the health and sanitation comes into the picture okay now environmental sustainability kindly see that there are four major points maintenance of biodiversity, protection of natural capital, maintenance of the energy and material cycles on the planet. The next thing it is, let us get to know breakdown scenario how it is. You can see population it is increasing. Till the 2030, they are expected to increase and breakdown will tend to begin. That means it is following, if you're going to take the mathematical analysis, probability distribution function if you have taken the curve will be always coming like this itself only probability density function ಅಂತ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ okay like same wise here also you can able to see the green The green, it is mainly referring to the food. Okay, life expectancy you can able to see from 1900s to 2000, that is 100 years of a difference. It is increasing, but now it is tending to decreasing. Why? Because you can able to see they are expected by the other factors, and the natural resources is a major reason the decline has resulted in the decline in the life expectancy also. Now, the next major thing, that is industrial output. See, when the natural resources it is decreasing, you can able to see here the industrial input they are increasing. They're increasing up to till 2030, but don't know, this is a one typical graph, but afterwards it is getting depleted. Next thing here, pollution is also drastically increasing, but it will increase even beyond the 2030s and all, and then finally it will tend to change after the 2100. That means if you're going to take from 2000 to 2100, there are various changes. Okay, so majority of here have born in the 2000 era and in the millennium era. So 2000 to 2021, you can see the drastic changes. And here, after the 2030s also, there is a certain breakdown. What are those? That we need to see that, and thereby we need to achieve something, environmental sustainability. What is that here? Kindly pardon me here. I need to it here, that is kindly reduce the dependency upon the virgin of the natural resources. That means virgin of the natural resources means whatever the natural resources that are available, that has not at all been damaged, that kind of the resources, and even including the fossil fuels also that are present beneath the earth crust and all, that has to be reduced. That is, instead of depending upon them and all, you need to have an innovation or the skills by utilizing the resources which are already in use. Okay, that is the one thing. Next, nature must not be subjected to the concentration of the substances that is produced by the society. Again, what happens? Biodegradability is a major question. You cannot degrade the plastics and all. The plastics are arising in a day-to-day basis, and thereby it takes a huge amount of the time to observe or to get back into the earth itself as a product upon the decomposition. So plastic or maybe the glasses and all, you cannot degrade it within a matter of the 20 days or 30 days or maybe 120 days and all. Only bioplastics are available. So that is to be taken into consideration. Next, productivity and biodiversity should not be systematically degraded. Productivity is more, as well as biodiversity is also to be more. That means they have to be in a balanced conditions. If the productivity is more, biodiversity is less, then it is under the degradation. And hence we need to protect the diverse as well as the special habitats also. ಈಗ ಬರ್ಡ್ ಸೆಂಚುರಿ ನೋಡಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಝೂಲಜಿಕಲ್ ಇಂಡ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಗಾರ್ಡನ್ಸ್, ಅದು ಆರ್ಟಿಫಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಬಟ್ ಆ ಥರ ರೀತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂಡೀಪುರ್ ರೀಜನ್ ಅಥವಾ ನೀವು ನಾಗರಹೊಳೆ ಆ ಥರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ತುಂಬ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Productivity will also be more in terms of an wood or any other things and all. That should not be degraded. Okay, next thing it is environmental sustainability can also be achieved through what? Efficient use and fair distribution of the resources. Fair distribution of the resources, that means in terms of an consuming the resources, that we call it as a consumerism, as well as depend upon the wealthy nations also. Okay, here you can able to see the planet boundary, atmospheric aerosol loading, what are the biodiversity loss. Okay, and if you can able to see it here, this is related to the phosphorus cycle. Okay, and chemical pollution, climatic change, how it is occurring, ocean acidification, as well as even the stratosphere ozone depletion. ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಲ್ವಾ, ವೆಡ್ನೆಸ್ಡೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಓಝೋನ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಡಿಪ್ಲೀಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಬಯೋಡೈವರ್ಸಿಟಿ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, atmospheric aerosol, all these things will tend to have a huge impact. Okay, so potential impacts are like this. Just run quickly because of the time constraint. global warming potential in terms of, and see the release, the metrics are given. Metrics means the measuring part, okay? And even acidification, eutrophication, ozone creation potential is how much. See here, it is drastically, it has changed. That means it is declined 10 power minus 4 and 10 power minus 6, there is a difference. Abiotic resource depletion, that is in terms of an kg of antimony equivalent, that is 9.78 into 10 to the power of minus 3 in terms of what? Raw materials that are to be supplied, transport, and manufactured. Construction stage means the transport as well as an installation stage. See, these are the EQ representation, that is the equivalent considerations. How much depletion has occurred due to the environmental impacts. So thereby, the themes or the sub-themes from the United Nations Commissions on Sustainable Development, they have identified the themes and all in order to see for the sustainable development indicators. So what are those? That I'll be going to continue in the next part of the class. Quickly, I'll go through it. So, next thing that we have, what is the important measures for sustainable development, and then the pest analysis. So, likewise, we have these things and all. We shall continue in the next part of the classes. So, till now, if you have any doubts, you can also able to raise the question and ask the answer.